Hello, SLK. I know it's been a while, and it's fucking you sent me this at what, the 2nd of February? But I'm finally getting around to doing it, and I'm finally stopped being lazy. So this is SLK's, one of the clips he sent me, well, one of the games he sent me. The other one I did to him live. And I'm just gonna go over this VOD and tell him what I see.
Survival.
It's good that you're checking everyone's loadouts, just let you know what you're going up against. So what do you say? You see one person with the shotgun, not forgotten. Shotgun, dire.
Survival.
Oh, you switched up to 9 mind benders. So pretty much everyone in your lobby right now is using a shotgun.
Every death will cost you, Guardian. Fight smart.
Including you. From what I remember, you were using a Sturm and a 7 Seraph shotgun. I think I already told you about your roles and stuff like that, so I'm not going to go over all that. But it's the small part I will say, it's a solid loadout. The 120 with the shotgun, especially with Chaos Reach.
Five lives left.
I think I already talked to you about your team play, so I'm not gonna mention it again. But just like a quick reminder, like if your team is like pushing stuff, like help them and all that, right? Because like I'm just seeing that you're standing around, you're waiting for the enemy to push you, and while yeah, that it can work. I'm not saying it's a bad strategy, but the problem is that it's only good for you to do that if you benefit off wasting time, right? If it's like right now, well, you guys were at like you're basically on equal terms, right? And so just waiting for them to push you is it's kind of not good, right? Because if you wait for them, because the way I like to see it, usually in most engagements, the aggressor has the advantage, right? Because they choose when to fight, and they choose where the fight takes place. And so you usually do want to be the aggressor if you can. But I'm not saying like do stupid stuff like peek 3 people with the shotgun out, right? But like take smart fights, but try to be the one who starts the fights. Not don't try to be like don't try to let your enemy dictate how the game's like going, right? Because they're not gonna try to take fights that are bad for them if they're not stupid. And so you always want to be in control of the tempo of the fight. And like passivity can work because if you're like higher on lives, like instead of 4-4, if this was 4-3, and your enemy needs to push you, you could just like sit in some random corner in the map they're not gonna expect, right? And just shoot them while they look around for you. And like in that case, passivity works because you benefit off it. If they don't push you, they're just gonna lose off life advantage, and hopefully your teammates won't be stupid enough to push and die. But it forces them to be in situations they don't want to be. Whereas like they're just pushing unknown territory.
1 minute. You're neck and neck on reserve. 3 lives
your
left.
teammate just killed himself, to be honest, because he just lost the fight and continued to fight it. I think, to be honest, like you're just too honed in on this guy. You even saw him on the radar and dark, but you just didn't like your character saw it, but you didn't take notice of that. That's fine. That's awareness, to be honest.
Last life. This is it.
It's 1 to 4. Teammate gotta go. That's good. They're
Your
all on your
team's
team.
out of line.
There's gonna be
30
multiple
seconds.
the amount and the pings you see. So they're playing together. Yeah, damn. You weren't really in a good position. Like you just kind of. This is not a good position. You cannot escape from this position if you're compromised. And so you weren't aware where the enemy was. He was floating above you, and you died this one. And so you died there because you both didn't have the position to escape, and you didn't know where the
10
enemy actually was.
Enemy team has no
Your
reserves
team
left.
is doing pretty
Finish
good though.
them.
They managed to do 1, 2, 3.
Tiebreaker active. The end is coming. Fight! One opponent standing.
Your teammate just slid out.
Opposing team annihilated. You have a lead. Keep it.
Kind of weak position to be holding, to be honest, because you're just on these stairs. You're not really looking where the other people are. And of course, this crosshair placement, right? You want to be placing your crosshair where you think the enemy is, because if they do pop out from there, it's easy shot for you. But you're in the middle of the stairs, and it's harder to get to this cover over here if you need it. And you just weren't aiming in the direction, so you had to flick, which meant you missed the shot here. That's good. Not peeking out. Generally, right? In most cases, well, in this case, right? They're 2 hunters, so they can't really kill you with the nade. But if you're low and the enemy knows it, don't like stand here, I guess you could say, right? Because they can just throw a nade, and if the nade's in the correct spot, it will kill you because you're low. And so when you're low like this, if you can afford it, you see like they were peeking you from dark, right? And so just try to take a path away from where they last saw you, but doesn't expose yourself back to that angle. And so if you just ran back a little bit and went to this big circle behind you and went to the side of it and healed, it would have been like a better position, right? Because even if they naded this wall, your teammate is probably pretty high health, so they wouldn't die, and you wouldn't have died because the nade would be nowhere near you. Teammate got a very early super. Yeah, it is Chaos Surge though. Kind of going on and
5
around
lives
here,
left.
taking the 1v1. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but if your enemy gives you an opportunity to take a 3v2 in your favor, like take it. Leave the other guy behind, leave the other enemy behind, take that 3v2, kill the other two, and then I'll collapse on the third. Because if you take this fight, right, it becomes a 2v2 for your teammates, and that's a lot less that's a lot harder than a 3v2. And like if one of you loses your fight, you're like in a worse position than you would if you just took the 3v2. If you lose this fight, but your teammates win their fight, it's a 2v1. If your teammates lose the fight and you win this fight, it's a 1v2.
5
But
lives left.
if you both die, if you took the 3v2 and you all died, well, yeah, that sucks, but it's a lot less likely that's gonna happen. Because like, if your team like makes a decision, right? Even if it's the wrong decision, always go with your team, because it's three guardians making the wrong decisions a lot more deadly than one doing it by himself, dying, and the other two having to scramble to fix it. Waiting for him, but that's good. They're not close enough.
Good.
Yeah, well, now they are close enough, but
1
they
minute.
showed the far
You're ahead on
red
lives.
ping, so
No
they weren't
lives
close
left
enough
for
to
your
contest
enemy.
it.
Destroy them.
It's also a pretty solid choice for heavy machine gun. You died there because you're just... I think you expected him to kill him with a machine gun and you just didn't. And you gotta keep in mind you only had 5 bullets. Whenever, like, you're out of bullets, always immediately switch to a weapon with bullets. Because there's stuff like this can happen sometimes. You leave them on 1 health and you just need to land one more shot. Like, if your primary is out of shots, switch to your shotgun, I guess. But like, always switch to a gun that has ammo. Because like, even if it's like this much, right? If he was closer, you could have just shotgunned him and he would have done enough damage. Because he's like probably like 2 health total.
1 enemy
But you
left.
expected to kill him and it didn't happen. You got punished for that.
30
Coming up
seconds.
on a super
Slay your
hero.
enemy and they
That's
stay
good.
dead. You obliterated the enemy.
You guys are in a pretty good pace right now.
Round start. The lead is yours.
And so, looking at your own super, keep an eye on the other supers on the other team, in the current position of your own team, right? And so your teammate used his super around the beginning of last round. Um, and he's a Chaos Reach. I don't think he cast it for too long, so I'd say he's gonna be around half right now. If he was, of course, if it was like trials or something, and I had him in a VC, you usually just ask them and they'll tell you. But look at the other 2 supers. Look at the other 3 supers. I mean, on the end of the team, 2 Silence of Squalls and 1 Arc Web. Well, not Arc Web. Stormcaller, Warlock. You've been pretty much running them for 2 rounds, so they're going to be a lot farther behind in super. And so look at your current supers. You have a Chaos Reach and a Silence of Squall. Both they can be used to like get a couple kills or shut down a super. But this arc, this Stormcaller is not really a threat right now. And it's probably not going to be a threat for like, I'd say say maybe until like the very end of this round. I'd say he might get at the very end of this round if he slays out, but I doubt it. He might get next rounds. And so your teammate, he's running Chaos Reach, gets a super very frequently, and so it'd be a good idea to use your super right now, right? Because if you use your super, they're not gonna have like counter supers to pop, and you're gonna be building towards another super. Don't like sit on your super for a very long time. Um, and just use it when you have it. Don't use it to like kill one person, but like you can play a little bit more aggressively when you have super, right? Because you know that you just have that thing in your back pocket. And so if 2 people are pushing you, pop Chaos Reach and they'll most likely kill at least one. And the other one will have to back off where he gets his face melted off. You died there because you tunneled too hard. on that kill. Even when you're slowed, I think you're gonna notice, but your accuracy is lower. So even if like you probably wouldn't hit the shot, he was too high health. And so when you're getting slowed like that in Industrial, your main priority is getting out. Get out in the sight line that the enemy can't see you. And so it would have been better if instead of like shooting back and aiming in, just keep going left as fast as you can because you might get out. If you got frozen there, you would have definitely died like you did here. Because you're in a big open lane. And the enemy team can see that you're frozen. Teammate pop super here, that's good. Oh, their Chaos Reach, not a Chaos Reach. Stormclaw actually got a super very. I wasn't paying attention how much kills it was getting. Never mind.
1 minute. You're ahead on lives. No lives left for your enemy. Destroy them.
And the thing is now, right? They have that Chaos Reach, and so it's a better idea if you save it since both your teammates use their supers. Besides it popping in a popping with 2 lives up, right? I'd say yeah, you can actually afford this fight without popping super. Yeah, because he's popping like by himself. And you're just probably gonna kill him. Could have been a bit more active though to try to help your teammate kill him. That's fine. Now you're free to pop your super because you're not gonna shut down a Songs of Skull. Like, just honestly, you're not gonna be able to shut it down.
Victory is within reach. Crush them.
Because of how fast it is. How fast it is, just you're not gonna be in a position to be able to react fast enough. No one's able to react fast enough.
5 lives left.
Good empowering rifts. The problem is they're pretty close. And your teammates are real bad. Yeah. You got stuck. You spawned and your spawn and you got stuck there. Because both your teammates died.
Last life.
I wouldn't recommend popping. No. Yeah. Also, I think you already know how to cancel it, but once you got this first kill, right? You get this first kill, and then just try to like cancel. Because you're not really. Most people, they won't peek out like this, especially because the caster is already running. Like, okay, so you pop it right, and this. Right around now is when people go back to cover. I'd say like half a second is what takes people to just get back into cover, because most teams, most better teams, will once they know you have chaos, they're gonna be playing around corners, and so as soon as they see you pop that chaos, they just immediately go back in that corner, and so you're not really gonna catch anyone with this unless they for some reason decide to peek a chaos reach. So it's better to just cancel it and then stop.
Your team's out of line.
Because at least then you retain some super energy.
Only 1 minute left.
Also, another problem with like popping right there is you were 1 to 4 popping it right now. Like, you might get 1 kill, you might get 1 or 2 kills, but you're still gonna be down. And so you always want to like use your super to either push yourself into the advantage or upset an even field. And so like you want to be at least between one, you want to be at least like within 1 or 2 kills. Like, so if it was 1 to 2, I'd say yeah, you should probably pop here because then you'll get to like 1 to 1. But I think it was 1 to 5, right? It was 1 to 5. So even if you did get these 2 kills here, it still would have been 1 to 3, and you most likely would have lost the round either way. Well, it's not like the round's out, but
Only 1
it's
minute
pretty
left.
unlikely you win
No
this
one
round.
left to fight in your place. So fight.
Bit of
Been knocked out.
indecisiveness right there. You saw the guy
Not
turning
this
behind
time.
you. You just gotta pick one.
Been defeated.
Even if it's the wrong decision, you gotta make a decision. That's what I'm saying.
You have match point. Finish them.
So they have one Skeleton Skull Hunter. The other two, so the Warlock uses at the end of the third rounds. Skeleton Skull Hunter uses at the end of the other rounds. Teammate got another Chaos Reach. Your Hunter's probably gonna get his super in these rounds. They'll get frozen by this.
5
That's
lives
unfortunate.
left.
They'll die.
3 lives left.
But once you get frozen by that super, not much you can do. The only thing you could have really done is once you heard that was being popped, you could have just tried to back away as much as possible, but you most likely would have been frozen either way. But maybe like he would have angled it so it only hit you because you wanted to get both. This is a good flank, right? Okay. I was gonna say it's a good flank, but you should have just peeked out without the empowering rift. Your teammates already pushing. By the time you put down the empowering rift, most players would have already peeked, or he would have thrown a nade at you, or the other guy would have thrown a nade at you. That's a nice shot. You trade your teammate out.
For 1. Last life.
Trade your other teammate out.
Enemy
That's good.
team has no reserves left. Finish them. This is amazing.
This is good. You're hitting your shots.
30 seconds. Slay your enemy and they stay dead.
So right here,
One opponent stand.
not peeking out. Just good. Okay, yeah. You only peeked out when you're regenning a gun.
Enemies down. 30 seconds. Slay your enemy and they stay dead.
Other than those team miss shots,
One opponent
it was
stand.
fun. It was like final guy anyways. You're
One
getting
opponent
pressured, so
stand.
you can play a little bit risky by peeking out to throw that nade.
Enemies down.
Overall impressions, I'd say you need to play with your team just a lot more. Yeah, and I know I harped on you for that when I did that when I talked with you, but it's just you're just not really playing with your team in mind, right? And so I guess try to push what your team pushes. Don't push what you push what you think is good if nothing's happening, but if your teammates are going one way, don't split off and go the other unless you're trying to flank around and shoot them from behind. Another thing is general movements. I'm not seeing you I think you're strafing a little bit, but not that much. Especially and with 120s and hand cannons in general, right? You always want to be sliding into engagements, out of engagements. You want to be sliding sometimes in between engagements. But hand cannons, the way their damage is staggered, it gives you that ability to decide, and so it'd be better for you to be sliding and to be strafing and all that, because I don't think I saw you strafe much at all or slide around corners, and that's just to make yourself a harder target and to win more primary fights. You weren't winning a couple primary fights. You were winning primary fights. Just you could be doing it more efficiently. Other than that, I can't really spawn anything. I can't really spawn anything that I haven't told you already. And so, yeah, that's about it. Thanks to you for showing me this clip. I'm sorry it took it's the 23rd, right? It took me almost 3 weeks. So, yeah, sorry about that. Oh, wait, no, it took me almost 2 weeks. Okay. I'm gonna go now. You have a good day, man.